Hello, everybody. This is Brad Johnson, senior reporter here at the Texan. I've got Representative David Spiller here with us. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Brad. I appreciate the opportunity. It's great to be in San Antonio.
It's a really big event here, obviously, the convention. Any thoughts so far walking around, what you're seeing?
It's been kind of like old home week. I've run into a lot of folks that I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks throughout my district. My district covers 12 counties. It's 300 miles from one end to the other. So after campaigning, I haven't seen some of them in a while.
Yeah.
And then see some other reps and senators and other folks that I've met. So and just people that I know. So it's been a good convention.
Your district is one that stretches way up in like a barbell kind of thing, right?
And I came in on a special in 21, and then we had redistricting.
Yeah.
And so I went from having the weirdest looking district in the state to having the weirdest looking district in the state. But it all works together.
You drew the short straw, right?
Yeah.
How many miles do you put on your car when you campaign?
We don't want to talk. I've got a truck. It looks brand new, but I've got 174,000 on it. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, you're gonna put way more on that, I'm sure. So during the session. Special session.
Right.
Which one was it? What, third? I
Third,
lost track.
Fourth, yeah.
You were the sponsor for SB4, the border bill.
Right.
Talk a little bit about the strategy behind the way you fashioned that bill, you and Senator Perry, and the legal strategy going forward.
Right. And I want to say this, and Senator Perry was great to work with in the Senate and the fourth special, and then in the third special, Senator Birdwell had it when we carried HB4.
Right.
That didn't get across the finish line, but I worked with a lot of folks. I worked, with the governor's office, with the speaker's office, with lieutenant governor's office, with DPS, with a lot of folks to come up with the best idea and the best plan to address this problem. And so it's drafted in such a way that it is constitutional. It's effective and solves our problem, deals with a lot of problems, but it's also constitutional in that it's not in conflict with the Arizona versus U.S. case.
Okay.
We tried to stay away from the things that they tried to do, what Arizona did in 2010.
Okay.
That's the subject of that 2012 U.S. Supreme Court case. We stayed away from those problem areas, so it's not in conflict with that. It's also not preempted by existing federal law. It's not in conflict with existing federal law. And lastly, that Texas, we believe, just like Arizona did, and is stated in the partial concurrence of the late Justice Antonin Scalia, has the absolute right, authority, and ability to secure its sovereign, secure its borders, and protect its borders, and we as a state have that right. And so this bill was drafted in such a way to address all of those things. And so people think, well, why on the charge of illegal entry, why is it a Class B misdemeanor? Why is for illegal reentry something else? Why is refusal to comply with an order to return? All of those are drafted to be exactly in line with existing federal law and law that's been in place for 70 years, for decades.
Yeah.
And so, and has withheld constitutional scrutiny. So that's why it was drafted that way. And I worked with a lot of good people and and we tweaked it some.
Yeah.
And from the third to the fourth special, I think made it better. I appreciate Senator Perry and the job he did in the Senate and us working together. And I work with a lot of senators. My district, we talked about that. I overlap with 5 Senate districts, and both Senator Birdwell and Senator Perry are in that district.
You mentioned US v. Arizona. There's a lot of talk about this being an opportunity to challenge that.
Right.
Based on your comments, it sounds like that's not the case. Can you explain this?
Well, I would say that SB4 was not designed to overturn the Arizona case. It was designed to be in line with the ruling. And so the people that say, well, it's unconstitutional, I would challenge them to actually read that decision. Read what it says, read the opinion, and there is a pathway. When you read there's even by what the majority court opinion was there's a pathway to do exactly what we did here. And so, if they want to put icing on the cake and overturn the Arizona case, that's fine with me. But for those that say, well, it was done to challenge Arizona, my position is and has always been, no, quite frankly, we wanted to make sure that we were in line with the ruling in Arizona and not in conflict with that.
And so it's kind of stalled right now, right? We're waiting at the Fifth Circuit, correct?
It's in the Fifth Circuit. Yeah. It's kind of been a roller coaster getting to the Supreme Court and back from there. But
those procedural issues really throw everybody for haywire.
I won't bog everybody down with that. And it's a lot of lawyering and appellate lawyering, even for people that do appellate lawyering. So, but the short story was, and I was at the Fifth Circuit when when the arguments were made, and relating to the temporary enforcement of that, to allow that. And so I thought the AG's office, Solicitor General's office, everyone did a great job on that, arguing that case, and we haven't gotten a ruling yet. That's in front of a three-judge panel. I expect that soon, and I'll tell you what, I think the other case, I can't remember the style of the case, but it's the one about the buoys in the Rio Grande.
Yeah.
I believe that was heard Wednesday by the entire en banc court.
Okay.
And so I anticipate a ruling on that very soon. I'm hopeful and optimistic that that will be in favor of the state of Texas, and I think that this three-judge panel may be waiting to see what they do before they make a ruling on our case, knowing that in the event, and it's possible that we would have a ruling against us, it would be 2-1 the other way versus 2-1 our way. It could be anything, but that would be my best guess. But it's possible that they're going to wait and see, because if we were to have an adverse ruling there, I anticipate that we would appeal it to the same en banc court, which is all the justices in the Fifth Circuit. And rather than, if they know how they're going to rule this way, I think that three-judge panel may be watching. And also in that case in the buoys, they requested additional supplemental briefing relative to Article 1, Section 10. That's also important.
That's the invasion clause, right?
Right, and applicable to SB 4, the litigation on that. So again, all those things I think are in our favor. And so I've said all along, I believe it's constitutional. I believe it'll hold up. I stand by that, and for all the constitutional reasons that I've stated.
Well, we'll see if the chips fall on that. But going forward, border security is not going away as an issue, especially when you guys reconvene in 25.
Right.
What do you see as the next steps for the state of Texas on the issue of border security?
Well, the most important thing we can do, aside from SB 4 being held and withheld and enforced, I think that's a huge tool for our state and for our country, for us to be able to do that. And I think that also shows the way to other states that, look, if you want to protect your state and you want to protect the rest of the country, you need to do what we did with SB 4 and some of the other measures that we've taken, and what Governor Abbott has done throughout the multifaceted aspects of Operation Lone Star. But the most important thing we can do for border security is elect Donald J. Trump as our president, because he will then reinstate those things that President Biden has undone from day one that we had in place that under President Trump that we had to secure our border. So that's first and foremost, is not the next session. What we need to do is come November is make sure that that Donald Trump is going to be our next president. Then we can work from there and decide where we go from there. But if I don't like to think about if that doesn't happen, but there are some other issues, some things that are attracting people here that we can address. Benefits and other things. We've got E-Verify and some of those type issues. There's a lot to be talked about between now and our next session about what those issues look like and how we best address them. So I'm up to that, and I'm up to having those discussions. I've mainly been focused on SB 4 and getting it across the finish line. I'm still fighting battles on that. They came out, I saw just the other day that the Dallas City Council has now decided that they want to at least consider, one of their members does, a resolution condemning SB 4 for all the wrong reasons. And honestly, I've kind of taken this as my own, and so I'm going to reach out to the mayor of Dallas. I'm going to reach out to the chief of police, and I plan on being at that city council meeting to address some of the misstatements, false statements, misleading statements about SB 4, because I just think there's been a concerted effort to give misinformation, to get people worked up, and to tell people that it does certain things that it absolutely does not do.
So sitting here at the Republican Party of Texas convention, the legislative priorities are much talked about. One of those is on-board security, specifically the Border Protection Unit. That was a proposal. It failed in the House. There were various arguments for and against. Do you think that's going to resurface? Do you think that's another option?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think that there will be something on that. I think we have to be smart about what we're doing, because we need to have the best people we can securing our state. And we've got through DPS, which is not really what DPS is designed to do, but those people have done a fantastic job. There are so many people that are giving of their time. They're going down there, DPS officers on rotation, on the border, putting their lives on the line and protecting us and doing the best that they can. But they're required to do that. We've got the Texas National Guard, we have others that are helping, and so we need to find the best coordinated, orchestrated way to address the problem. And whether it be a border protection unit or Representative Guillen had a bill that
it was kind of similar, not exactly
similar,
the same,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I helped. I was trying to help with Representative Schaefer with HB 20, which was the border protection unit bill, there were some concerns, there were some issues about the bill. We knew that there was a good chance that it might go down because of certain things, and so it did, and that's unfortunate, but we tried to pick up the slack and do some other things. I've carried some other bills previously, HB 65, during the regular session, that was similar but different than SB 4 and HB 4. Also carried the bill with Senator Tam Parker, the Interstate Compact bill, and so, which was also important because we're allowed to work and share resources, intelligence, and other things with other states, coordinate with them, and that's why we're getting razor wire, we're getting other stuff, and through the help of other states. We appreciate the help that they've given us, but that bill helped in that respect too. So I've tried to work with everybody I can, and us try to be on the forefront, because border security, even though my district goes from the border of Oklahoma, I've got 2 counties up on the.
You got to worry about the Oklahomans coming across.
Well, that's a whole other topic. We'll need to secure that. But as we go farther south, I mean, I'm not on the border, but border security is for everyone. I mean, every county is a border county, and we found that. And we also know that I have 12 rural counties, and my position is that border security, or lack thereof, adversely affects those counties more disproportionately than it does larger metropolitan areas, because we just don't have the resources, whether it have to do with providing health care, because there's no Medicare, no Medicaid, no insurance, no money, and you're not just going to let people die if they present to the emergency room or they present to the hospital or clinic. We're going to have to try to treat them. Same thing with education. We get reimbursed some on the state level based on weighted average daily attendance, but again, that's taxpayers, Texas taxpayers picking up the tab for that. Federal dollars are not following the same deal, and that also doesn't have anything to do with facilities. It affects as far as your M&O, but not your INS rate. It doesn't affect. I mean, it doesn't cover anything as far as trying to find ESL and other specialized teachers because you've got language challenges as well. So whether you're talking about healthcare, you're talking about education, you're talking about law enforcement, certainly our rural law enforcement's overburdened because of border security, and just the general operation and function of government. So my position is it's a huge issue in my district. It's probably the most important issue in my district, and I'll continue to do whatever I can.
We're seeing that all over the place, and there's a lot more to be done. So, Representative Spiller, thank you for joining us today.
You bet. Thank you for the opportunity.